Hey guys, Verlis here, and we have a very requested Pokemon again, Rotom. He is incredibly strong right now, pretty much on almost every double battle team and almost every single battle team. He is your go-to tanky support that will not take much damage or barely any damage and just smacks down people. So, going to be looking at both of the very popular forms, mostly for their type coverage because Wash Form Rotom is just really strong. He does not have too much things that hurt him because Levitate takes out the ground weakness. Yeah, Levitate makes it to where he's not weak to get anything ground. Water balances out his rock weakness, so he's really only weak to grass type attacks, which is pretty insane because not a lot of things have grass, and he's still tanky, so it'll still take like 2 or 3 super effective hits to really knock him out. And with this power behind him, he just goes and plays the most annoying roles possible. So everyone generally gives him a leftovers, so let's go and put that on them. And there are just many paths Rotom can take. Mostly, you need to have Will-O-Wisp and you need to have your signature move. In this case, Hydro Pump, just because the coverage against ground and rock types is really hard to ignore, and fire types, a really good hit might be able to take out a Talonflame. If you have just like strong special attack, Hydro Pump hitting a Talonflame, it's at least going to two-shot it, and he's definitely not doing that much damage back to you. Definitely a 2-hit KO on Charizard. So, you can just kind of look at the moves. He does have a lot of things he can do. Instead of Charge Beam, Thunderbolt works really well. Instead of Will-O-Wisp, you can also have Thunder Wave. And instead of Confuse Ray, you can put anything here. Pain Split so you can heal up better. You can put in Substitute, that way it's just more annoying for your opponent to deal with you. I personally like Confuse Ray just because of how disruptive it is. Like, it's 100% accuracy, guaranteed confuse to the target, and you're incredibly tanky. So, you set up a Confuse Ray first, or Will-O-Wisp, depending on how much of a threat they are. And then you're just like, what can I do from here? I can start charging up my Charge Beam, because I've seen a lot of Rotom stick around for a couple turns and use like 2 or 3 Thunderbolts on tanky Pokemon, when instead they could have been using 2 or 3 Charge Beams, get 1 or 2 stage boosts up, and then have a bigger Hydro Pump to hit with. So that's just my look on Wash Form Rotom when you do this. As for the moves, he is a great tank, so I generally go with a Calm Nature. And I do my little stat thing where I balance it out, 240, 188, 80. So this gives you 300 health and almost 300 in both defenses. It makes you incredibly tanky. Now, if your team needs anything else, like say your team needs to be more defensive bulk or special defensive bulk, you can always play around with the numbers, make yourself a bit more stronger to what you need to be strong against. So I mean, here we have 303, 326, so you're going to have a lot more special defense, a lot less defense, but since you don't have any weaknesses, it's still a pretty good coverage overall, especially if your team has something, or your opponent's team has something special defense, or special attack. And then with Heat Form Rotom, this just shows another thing that people can do, since Overheat is such a powerful move, and it just pretty much nukes out anything that's either neutrally resistant or just weak to fire. It's a really good thing to have. So people have like Choice Specs, they'll go Trick with the Choice Specs. That way try to disrupt anything physical that might be trying to set up against them, or disrupt anything that's going to be like an Umbreon, a Snorlax. Using Choice Specs on Trick is pretty much like using Taunt. You are locked into a move. While it can be bulking up, it's most likely not going to be of any benefit to you. I get Choice Specs into a Stockpile after I've used Stockpile twice. I can't use it much more, so it pretty much turns into a Taunt or some kind of lockdown. After that, you can use Overheat for massive damage, and then you can Volt Switch out or just set up a Will-O-Wisp. So, Trick on Rotom is just incredibly scary because it can shut down any kind of setup, and it's reliable. People really like Volt Switch just because, you know, you just switch it out after you already lower your special attack, so then he's ready for more at some point in the game. Will-O-Wisp is already incredibly strong if you don't have a Will-O-Wisp. And again, these can change. If you want him to be more specially, like if you want him to be a special attacker, you can just drop these down to about 56 each, and then change him to a modest nature. Max out, get as much special attack in there as possible. So now I have a 313 stab overheat hit with choice specs potentially, so that's big. That's going to hurt a lot of things. Just really awesome. So with the lack of weaknesses, he also has levitate. That's really good next to anything that uses earthquake. If you guys have been playing competitively, you've probably already seen a Garchomp Rotom open, where, you know, it's just a straight up, maybe even a discharge on Rotom and an earthquake on Garchomp, and it's going to do a lot of damage, and you can't answer to both of them with an earthquake, and you can't really do much to both of them at the same time. That'll do significant amounts of damage. So they really complement each other, and Rotom just complements any kind of earthquake, anything that just wants to be disruptive. And in single battles, he's a great open. You know, you take a setup Pokemon, you go Will-O-Wisp, Confused Ray, you start taking them down, and then you can just always have that Rotom as a switch-in option. So that's my look on Rotom. So strong, so scary. So just everyone's using him. He is Kalos native, so he's going to get incredible amounts of play in VGC. So look out for that. And I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope you all have a nice day.